try Instagram. Could not access. Oh, I gotta do that here. And we, I think, are on YouTube, so we can check that. Okay, come on, give me that. And then this. And so you want to check if we're back on Insta?
Checking now. I think we are.
I do not seem to be live on YouTube. Yep, there we are. Okay, we are back. I believe we are back.
Okay, good. I think we are back.
Okay, we're back.
Hi, everyone.
Possibly, maybe. Okay.
We apologize for the small delay.
If we had an entire staff, we would not have these technical problems. But we sometimes have technical problems. But we're back. Okay.
Because it's the tax files. I think we just got in really weird paranormal situations with computing devices.
Nothing cooperates. Okay.
So, hi everyone, welcome back. This is the tax file.
Good. Okay, good. There we go. Okay.
Okay, let's keep going.
All right, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So, where were we? We were going to read the relevant statutory provisions.
9-1.
We noticed that, but before we get there, just where were we? We were going to read this relevant statutory provisions. We noticed that it was citing to 1970. We weren't really sure why, but maybe some of the years in issue were before 1985. But it seemed like they were 1986. So we got a little bit of a mystery here. We haven't really solved that, but that's okay. We're going to live with it. Okay.
Well, the thing is, at the time, in 1986, RSC 1985 Fifth Supplement did not exist because it was enacted in 1994, applicable to 1992, something like that. Yeah, you notice that RSC 1985 Chapter 1 and parentheses Fifth Supplement?
Yeah.
That's because if it's the Fifth Supplement to the statute of 1985, but it was published in 1994.
Okay.
So I think that's why, because technically, even though it's past 1985, in 1986, the Fifth Supplement of the 1985 statute was not enacted yet.
Okay. Great. Okay.
No, not this one. So just to be clear, in 1985, the RSC 1985 Fifth Supplement was not enacted yet. So it was still the RSC from 1970. That was the proper legislative provision. Only in 1994 was the 1985 Statute Fifth Supplement enacted. Welcome to Canadian taxation. Okay.
Okay. All right. So what's happening is we're back to basics.
Yeah. So section 9.1.
Yeah. Okay.
Subject to this part, a taxpayer's income for a taxation year from a business or property is his profit therefrom for the year.
Okay. Great.
Cool.
Income from a business or property is profit from a business or property. Got it.
Subsection 18.1. In computing the income of a taxpayer from a business or property, no deduction shall be made in respect of an outlay or expense except to the extent that it was made or incurred by the taxpayer for the purpose of gaining or producing income from the business or property.
Right.
Subsection 9. Notwithstanding any other provision of this Act, A. In computing a taxpayer's income for a taxation year from a business or property other than income from a business computed in accordance with the method authorized by subsection 28.1, no deduction shall be made in respect of an outlay or expense to the extent that it can reasonably be regarded as having been made or incurred on the lie as consideration for services to be rendered after the end of the year.
Yeah.
To utilize as on account or in lieu of payment of or in satisfaction of interest, taxes, rent, or royalty in respect of a period after the end of the year, or to utilize as consideration for insurance in respect of a period after the end of the year.
Okay.
B.
So wait a minute. These are no deduction. Okay. Right. And then.
B. Such portion of each outlay or expense made or incurred as would, but for paragraph A, have been deductible in computing a taxpayer's income for a taxation year shall be deductible in computing his income for the subsequent year to which it can reasonably be considered too late.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Great. Okay. So, all right. So what do we have so far? We have.
The question is does it relate to 1 year? Or several
multiple years, exactly.
Yeah. Or
yeah.
tips.
Assuming it's not a loan,
Yeah.
assuming it's an outlay.
Yeah.
Is it related to 1 year like an expense, or is it amortized because it is an expenditure, it's capital, in initial capital? All right.
That's the whole question. I mean,
Always.
If you give 2 months to rent, 2 months free of rent, is it 1 month in the first year and the second month in the second year?
Right.
How do you even calculate this? I'm
Good
giving
question.
you like 6 months. Should I say it's 1 month a year? But if ever after 3 years you just leave,
Right.
you don't renew, then how? I don't know. How does it work?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
All right.
You should be looking at the leases
Yeah.
and that tax law.
Agreed. It's not a, yes.
It seems like a private.
It's a private law or like a commercial decision that has tax effects. Yeah.
Well, judicial history.
Okay, here we go.
Tax Court of Canada by Justice Brûlé. 94 DTC 1133.
Okay.
Brûlé. I will just
Great
say.
name, by the way.
Yeah, Brûlé.
Like my favorite dessert is a creme brulee.
Oh yeah.
But I
crème
guess it's
brûlée.
spelled a little bit differently,
No,
isn't it?
it's the same.
Is it? Okay.
Except that on the U, it's the
There's a
little
accent.
hat.
Yeah.
Accent circonflexe.
Circonflexe.
Also
Yeah.
called accent chapeau.
Accent chapeau, yeah, because it looks like a little hat.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
little hat.
Okay.
Okay. Brûlé began by noting that it has generally been held that an expense is deductible, although it may not give rise to any directly resulting income. Vallombrosa Robert
Woo!
versus Farmer, 1910, Court of Sessions.
Okay.
1910?
1910.
1910? Is it even a tax case? Is it even Canadian?
This should have been in the Symes case, right?
Yeah.
Deductible, although not giving rise to any directly resulting income. That was wasn't that Symes's argument?
It was.
Yeah.
However, he recognized that the instant case turned not on the deductibility itself, but on the timing of the deduction, what we
Yeah.
said at the beginning,
Yeah.
and found that this required a determination of whether the tips were running expenses and whether or not they should have been matching of the expense and revenue.
Okay.
He relied on Naval Colliery Company versus Commissioners of Inland Revenue 1928 and Oxford Shopping Centres Limited versus the Queen
Okay.
1979 for the proposition that running expenses are those which cannot be linked directly to any corresponding items of revenue and therefore not matched to revenue but are deductible in full in the year incurred. That is, the matching principle of accounting does not apply to such expenses.
Okay.
Okay, that's kind of what we just talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Relying on the case of Cummings versus the Queen and the interpretation thereof in the trial judgment in Toronto College Park Limited versus Canada, a companion case to the instant appeal, Brûlé found that in certain cases, tips may be classified as running expenses, which in some cases may be deducted in the year of the expense.
Okay.
Further, he found that the matching principle had been held not to apply in such expenses. To Brûlé, these cases were determinative, such that the tips here at issue qualified as running expenses.
Okay.
Brûlé rejected the minister's argument that the tips were incurred for the purpose of earning income over the whole terms of the leases, and therefore, to arrive at true profits, each lease should have the tips amortized over its terms. But how do you do it, really? Because, you know, when you sign a lease, usually it's like for 10 years, renewable, another 10, renewable, another
Sure.
10. So is it like 30 years so you can
No, I think if you give me $1,000 to sign a lease,
Yeah.
I'm gonna amortize it over under this logic. I think it's a loan,
Mhm.
but under this logic, I'm going to assign a proportion of that $1,000 to each of the years in the lease period, not the renewals, just the lease, the initial lease.
It should, if it's a loan, you should be looking at when does the
Yeah.
price no longer reflect the fact
Exactly.
that the loan is getting paid.
Exactly. I think it's a loan, and so the payment of rent should have a portion of which is not rental income and is not deductible by the payor,
Yeah.
but is instead a repayment of a loan, so not includable and not deductible
Yeah.
by either.
Which makes sense because if it's
I know. I don't know why this is so
I mean,
surprisingly. I just don't understand this conversation at all.
I mean,
Like,
no
just don't get it.
deduction, no inclusion.
Yeah,
no,
that's correct. That's what it should be.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
erosion of the tax base.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's like, yeah. The only time you would worry is if it somehow going offshore or something, and you're worried about income stripping, interest stripping, but that's not the case here.
But there is no deduction in
Yeah,
Canada
there's no-
anyway,
exactly.
so even if it's included in the other country
Yeah.
because they see it differently,
Sure.
there's double taxation but not double non-taxation,
Yeah.
so it's fine.
Well,
Well.
fine.
Well,
Anyway, but the minute, so Brule is saying, I see it as a running expense. A running expense is not specific to a specific kind of income, which already I don't understand that logic at all. I don't
so
get it.
you have an expense for your general business of leasing
Yeah.
buildings, but it's not an expense.
Related to
Any
lease
lease?
payments, aka
How-
rent.
How does this make sense?
I don't know. To me, it makes no sense. I would say it makes no sense. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Okay.
Brûlé rejected the minister's recommended that tips were incurred for the purpose of earning income over the whole terms of the leases, and therefore to arrive at true profits, each lease should have the tips amortized over its terms. He noted that in support of this argument, the minister had relied on Neonex International Limited versus the Queen, but that Neonex did not deal with a running expense
Okay.
situation and was therefore unapplicable. He relied in this regard on the judgment of this court in Symes
Okay,
versus
there's
Canada,
Symes.
where the words of Wilson in Mattamy Mines Limited versus Ontario were interpreted as rejecting both the need for a causal connection between a particular expenditure and a particular receipt, and the suggestion that a receipt must arise in the same year as the expenditure is incurred.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Causal connection.
We go back to this idea of causal connection
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
In,
Okay.
in response to the minister's argument that matching should have been employed in this case because it gave a better picture of Canderel's true income, Brûlé observed that although accounting theory may be helpful in considering the appropriate treatment of income for tax purposes, it is not determinative. He agreed with the submission by Canderel, relying on Oxford Shopping Centre's SOPRA, that even if the law in many cases seems to require matching, the expenses in this case should be matched against current benefits, as was in fact done here, since the use of the matching principle in cases such as Minister of National Revenue versus Tower Investment gave rise to no general principle of law.
Okay. Okay.
Brûlé found that the benefits generated by the tips for Canderel included 1. The prevention of a hole in income
Wow.
caused by maintaining a vacant building. What?
Yeah, okay, you remember this hole in the filling of the hole? Oh man, that's like an old case. I'm not going to remember what it's called. But it's like this common idea, and we saw it again with some of the interest deductibility cases, like maybe Swirsky. But like, I'm trying to protect my family from losing income, and so that's a purpose, that's an income-producing purpose. So I don't have to have an income-producing purpose, I just have to have a fill the hole mentality. Like, I want, it's like opportunity cost
it's like
or something.
This expense is not to earn income, it's to prevent losing more.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's more or less.
Okay,
this
yeah, okay.
Weird, I don't know why they call it a hole in your income, but like it's like saying opportunity. I guess there's just no other way to say it. So instead of saying opportunity cost or money I didn't get or whatever, this is what they do.
But it's like value creation in the long term. The question is, do I accept to earn less now because I will expand my business in the future?
Yeah.
And this is also a transfer pricing question
Yeah,
all the time. Like,
yeah.
can I have a lower price because I'm expecting the market to open?
Exactly. Right.
2. The satisfaction of an interim financial requirements and the ability to obtain permanent financing. 3, the ability to maintain its market position and reputation.
Okay.
4, the ability to earn revenues through rental, management, and development fees. Therefore, he concluded at page 1142 that the expenses deducted by the appellant were running expenses, that matching is not in this case the appropriate method for tax purposes, and that the appellant should be allowed to adopt the expensing method, noting also that there is no requirement under the law for consistency in accounting methods between financial statements and income tax calculation, but really allowed the appeal and refer the matter back to the minister for reconsideration and reassessment in accordance with the law as set out in these reasons.
Okay.
2, federal court appeal, reasons of Justice Stone for the majority. Oh, was there a dissent? There was no concurring reasons.
Oh, okay.
Reasons of Stone. Stone began by asserting at page 236 that the matching principle of accounting has, at least in this court, been elevated to the status of legal principle. Woo!
Okay.
Okay,
so he disagrees. He thinks the matching principle is a legal principle. The matching principle of accounting is a legal principle.
But the question really is, can you do whatever? Because in accounting, you either follow the IFRS or, we call it in French the NCSCF. I'm not sure what the English wording is, but the non-IFRS Canadian standards.
Okay, like Canadian GAAP?
Canadian GAAP, yeah. I think that's what we call it.
Yeah.
But so for accounting purposes, you will use Canadian GAAP.
Yeah.
Can you do whatever you want for tax purposes? Can you rebuild your accounting accounts to pay less tax?
No. Well,
no, probably not.
I mean, but
well, I don't know. Can you?
I'm a little bit hesitant to say no because tax follows on the accessory. This is just an accessory doctrine.
Yeah.
It's saying if this is how you do things for accounting. But the thing is, accounting is doing something very specific for a specific reason, and tax is doing something else. It's trying to measure income. That's why they talk about clear reflection of income. Like the minister was saying, it should be spread over because that more accurately reflects income. That's the principle. And to say matching, you're just saying something about my expense, is outlaid for the purpose of incurring this income.
But I'm just thinking, when you fail your, in practical terms, when you fail your T2, which will be on a computer because you can no longer fail it on paper.
Okay.
So you're going to your computer, you fail your T2.
Okay.
The first thing you have to do is fill out the accounting forms.
Okay.
Like, what is your net profit?
Yes, right.
Accounting-wise.
And so then...
And after you do the matching of okay, but this is not how you do it tax-wise, so you will redo those deductions or expenses.
Yeah.
But you have to start with the accounting. You
Right.
cannot start from nowhere.
I mean, you just can't make it up.
No.
Agreed.
So I think you have to follow
then
the
that's
accounting
principles.
principles.
So you have to count. You have to. You're trying to reflect income. Accounting is about telling you how to do that.
Yeah.
One of the accounting principles is the matching principle. Therefore, that can't be just disregarded.
Yeah.
I guess is what he's saying. Fine.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. I'm not mad at it. I just
He found support for his positions in the court's decision in West Kootenay Power and Light Company versus Canada, where McGuigan. McGuigan?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
McGuigan. Wow.
Yes.
Justice McGuigan.
McGuigan. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Justice McGuigan stated on page 745, the approved principle is that whichever method presents the truer picture of a taxpayer's revenue, which more fairly and accurately,
Tough one. Yeah.
accurately, McGuigan uses tough words.
Yes, he does. Okay.
More fairly and accurately portrays income,
Good, nice.
and which matches revenue and expenditure, if one method does, is the one that must be followed.
Okay.
While acknowledging that West Kootenay was concerned with the time in which to report earned but unbilled income, Justice Stone saw no reason to limit its application to the scenario and found that it should also apply when the issue is whether a taxpayer is required to match expenditures against revenue and compute a profit for tax purposes.
Yeah.
Justice Stone agreed that the trial judge that running expenses need not be matched with corresponding items of revenue for tax purposes,
Okay.
but found that the tips here at issue did not fit the classical description of running expenses in naval colliery supra. He recognized at pages 237-38 that it could be argued that the tips were in the nature of running expenses on the basis that they represented a cost of doing business in the 1986 taxation year, and also that Canderel would likely have faced significant financial disadvantages if they had not been laid out, and then achieve significant financial advantages by laying them out. However,
Okay.
he found that the expenditures were not incurred in earning income solely in 1986, but in all of the years during which the leases were to run. Moreover, Justice Stone found that the present case was not analogous to Oxford Shopping Centre's Supra, as in this case it was not possible to match the expenses with particular items of revenue, while acknowledging that in Cummings, Justice held was prepared in obiter to characterize lease pickup expenses as running expenses. Justice Stone was of the opinion that this too assumed that the expenses in question could not be allocated directly to corresponding revenue. In the present case, because the tips could not be matched
Could
with,
be matched.
could be
Here they
matched,
could
sorry,
be matched, yeah.
I'm inventing word,
Yeah.
because the tips could be matched
Yeah.
with revenue from
Yeah.
the respective leases in accordance with the matching principle, and were in fact so matched for accounting purposes, Justice Stone and Justice Robertson concurring would have allowed the appeal.
Okay, because they do match. So they're saying
Yeah.
I match the revenue from the leases, so I let you have the full deduction. But that doesn't. I don't understand how that answers the timing issue. Just if I say it matches
Because
the
even
revenue
if
from
you-
the leases,
Because even if you just do it according to the
unless it's a
accounting
1-year
principle,
lease, yeah,
we kind of have the same problem
Yeah.
as, but in tax law we want to match income and expenditure.
Yeah.
So what part of the expenditure is
Right.
related to the income in this year?
exactly. I don't see it. I don't
I
understand
mean,
it.
isn't it
It
true?
doesn't seem like it solved it.
But for the question of is it alone,
Yeah.
couldn't you say that in the first year you pay more to attract the person to your building, and that in the upcoming years the expenditure is a bit less because now it's just trying them to stay here. But the
yeah.
hard part is getting the
Getting them
tenant
in.
to come into your building. So this should be worth more. How do you calculate? Is it 50% first year and then another percentage? I'm not even sure what they do accounting wise. Is it divided by 10 years? If the lease is 10 years, how would they do it? And it's kind of funny
Okay,
also,
I
if
don't
you
know.
compare accounting and tax, is that for tax purposes, you're trying your income to be as low as possible.
Yeah.
For accounting purposes, you're
You want it
trying
to
to be as high as
It's
possible.
true. Yeah. They're at odds in a way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a way, that's a reason that you can trust the accounting because the accountants are trying to, if anything, they're trying to inflate income, not.
Because you're trying to get
That's why they
financing.
say negative income.
Yeah. You're trying to get
Still income.
You're
Just
trying-
negative.
you're trying to get some financing from Sun Life. I mean,
Yeah.
do you want to say, "Oh, I spent $4 million in a year
Right.
to induce people," or do you
No.
want to say, "Well, I actually only like $200,000
Yes,
of
right.
this is expenses
To
in
this
this
year.
year."
Yeah.
And there are like they call it
The rest is-
provisions, I
yeah.
think, but there will be
Provisions.
provisions for like $3-something
Yeah.
million.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Makes much more sense.
Yes.
But that's not what the taxpayer's arguing.
No.
Okay, let's see what Desjardins
Okay.
says in concurrence.
Concurring reasons of Desjardins. Justice Desjardins began with a brief discussion based largely on that in Symes of the limited
Yeah.
role to be played by general accepted accounting principles gap in the determination of profit for tax purposes.
Okay, so we're back to Symes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
She found at page 244 that the trial judge erred in applying to the case at bar the interpretation in Symes of Justice Wilson's rejection in Matabee Mines of both the need for a causal connection between a particular expenditure and a particular receipt, and the suggestion that a receipt must arise in the same year as an expenditure is incurred, as Symes was not concerned with the timing of deduction, which was the only issue in the case at bar.
Okay.
Justice Desjardins turned next to the cases relied upon by the minister in support of the proposition that where there are two methods acceptable both under the gap for tax purposes, both under the gap and for tax purposes, the court will prefer the one that results in a truer picture of the taxpayer's profit,
Yeah, sure.
including West Kootenay, Maritime Telegraph and Telephone Company, Friedberg. She concluded at page 156 that, in essence, What the courts have been looking for is the true realized gains and losses, aka negative gain, of the taxpayers in the relevant taxation year. And that to determine...
Gains and negative gains.
Yeah, gains and negative gains. Do we have the one with losses?
Yeah, that's here somewhere. Let me see. Good point. There are no such thing as losses.
No.
There's only gains.
Negative gains.
Negative gains. We need to rewrite this thing. Oh, I don't know where it went.
Oh, no.
Oh, wait. No, it's here. There you go. Here's gains.
Gains.
Gains. Wait, you better hold it because your view is on the higher.
Gains.
And then here's
Negative
losses.
gains.
Negative gains. Sorry, that's not a loss. That's incorrect.
Yeah.
I should say negative gains.
You know, if I were you...
You should show it like a skinny negative gains.
You know, if ever you do day trading and you lose a bunch of money...
Yeah. Negative gains.
I negative gain money.
I negatively gained.
I
Yeah.
negatively gain money doing day trading. It's like, what? Well, I had $1,000, now I have $10, so I negatively gain $990.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Seem like a winner no matter what.
Exactly.
You're always winning.
Always. Never admit defeat.
Always be gaining.
Yeah.
Even if it's negative. All right, anyway, so we are true realized gains and negative gains, aka losses, of a taxpayer in the relevant tax year, yes.
And to determine whether matching is the appropriate method in any given case would require an analysis of the specific facts in light of the cases in which the matching principle had been specifically developed.
Yeah.
In this connection, she relied on Symes for the proposition that the determination of profit for tax purposes is a question of law,
Right.
to be determined in accordance with the well-accepted principles of business or accounting practice,
Yeah.
unless they run counter to an express statutory provision or a principle of tax law.
Okay, so it's just, I think, restating the accessory principle.
Yes,
That's what
yeah.
what we're seeing here. Yeah.
Thus, Justice Desjardins identified a key question as assessing which method most accurately shows the taxpayer's actual profit. After reviewing Oxford Shopping Centre's SUPRA, in which the taxpayer's disbursement was considered to be a running expense, and the matching principle therefore did not apply, even though amortization was available at the taxpayer's option, and would have provided a more accurate picture of income for a particular year, she found that where an expense could be related to a particular item of income, the matching principle would apply. She concluded that tips are clearly related to particular items of income, as there is a direct
Yeah, sure.
contractual relationship between the tip and the stream of revenues gained over the period of the lease.
Yeah.
Therefore, in her view, matching of tips is compulsory.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That seems right. If
It
you're
makes
going to
sense.
call it, if you're going to say it's an expense, I don't think it is, but if you're going to say it is, then they have to match. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Canderel had argued that the foundation on which rests the compulsory matching of expenses when related to a particular item of income, namely Commissioner of Inland Revenue versus Gardner Mountain and
Ooh.
D'Embrumenil.
Ooh, lovely. I would not have been able to get that out there. So, D'Embrumenil? D'Embrumenil.
Gardner Mountain
Very
and
nice.
D'Embrumenil,
Very nice.
Limited, 1947 House of Lords,
Wow.
was inapplicable because it dealt with cost of inventory. Maybe it's not D'Embrumenil, but like D'Embrumenil.
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 Maybe it's Lord D'Embrumenil.
I don't know.
Was inapplicable because it dealt with cost of inventory, for which special rules have developed. Justice Desjardins disagreed, noting that Viscount Simon's words...
Okay.
Why am I quoting
I think
a
it's Viscount.
It's Viscount,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not his name, is it? It's really like his title, right?
Monica asked, what is a Viscount? It's something above an earl and below a lord.
A Viscount is someone who probably lives in a castle, has servants, and a gardener, and I think the gardener is paid an annuity.
Sure.
Yeah, a
No, that's
deductible
Duke.
annuity.
That's a Duke.
Oh, that's only a duke?
That's only Duke.
Not a Viscount.
Does he pay less taxes than a Duke? Would a Viscount pay less or more? So, do we think the hierarchy is King, Viscount, Duke? Then he gets more income, which means he pays less taxes. This is
I
England.
think
Come on.
we have to look at,
No, don't look.
I think we have to look at,
No, because
British.
it's. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's not good.
how do you call
This
this?
I don't know where you're going, but it's okay.
British aristocracy ranks.
Ranking.
Okay, so it's Duke, a Marquess.
I'm googling. Guide to the ranks and privilege of the peerage. This is very dumb. Okay, Britannica has a look. Britannica has a nobility ranks titles hierarchy. Let's find out.
No, a Viscount is really low.
Oh, no!
It's lower than an Earl.
Lower than
just
an Earl?
above a Baron.
Oh my gosh! Look at that. Duke, then Marquess, then Earl, then Viscount, then Baron. Okay, it's way low on the scale. That means that a Viscount is paying more taxes because they have less income.
A Viscount is paying a lot of taxes.
Paying a lot of taxes. Okay.
And cannot afford the same tax practitioners as the Duke.
But also, why... I don't even know who this Viscount Simon is. Viscount Simon's words in that case. Like, what is a Viscount doing? What's he doing? Canderel argued that the foundation on which rests the compulsory matching expenses when related to particular income, namely Commissioners v. Danbury, was inapplicable because it dealt with costs of inventory for which special rules had developed. Desjardins disagreed, noting that Viscount Simon's words in that case. So are they judges or something?
Okay, I think I found him. It's John Alsbrook Simon, the first Viscount Simon.
Okay.
Which was a British politician who held senior cabinet posts from the beginning of the First World War to the end of the Second World War. He is one of 3 people to have served as Home Secretary, Foreign Secretary, and Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Okay.
So he was a noble.
But what's he doing in our case? I don't understand. Why is he in our case?
I think he was a member of the House of Lords.
Okay, so he's on the court, making words.
He's on the House of Lords court in d'Ambremesnil.
Okay.
So he's the one that wrote the d'Ambremesnil case.
All right, fine. So who's our judge in... Okay, anyway, in this d'Ambremesnil case, Desjardins disagreed. She says, Viscount Simon's words were directed to... Okay. We have this settled. House of Lords. Yeah, exactly. House of Lords. Exactly.
Why are we citing a 1947 case from the House of Lords? Is it an appeal from a Canadian case? Or is it purely a British case?
No, they're talking about the foundation. Canderel, listen. Canderel had argued that the foundation for the matching principle is this House of Lords case. But this House of Lords case foundation was inapplicable because it was talking about inventory, which has special rules. And this is not inventory. This is like something else, not inventory.
Okay.
So they're trying to distinguish. What's happening here is that Canderel is saying, don't look at that House of Lords case. And the Crown is presumably saying, do look at it.
I'm still wondering, why are we trying...
Because we're trying to figure out now the timing issue. Now that we've said that they seem to match the lease, now I still have to figure out when. Is it all at once? Is it capital? Or is it current? Or is it over the term? Is it capital? Right?
I'm kind of wondering why a 1947 case from the House of Lords is applicable in Canadian tax law.
I have no idea, but it sounds to me like the Crown wanted to use it and the taxpayer did not want to use it, and the court is about to tell us whether we're going to use it or not. And in this case, we're looking at the Federal Court of Appeal, Desjardins, saying the tips were clearly related, and then now we're going to dispense with Canderel saying, don't use this case.
Okay.
That's what I think is going on here. I don't know. To me, very confusing.
It's very confusing. I'm just like, why?
We're all over the place.
Are we citing a case from Viscount Simon?
Exactly.
I mean, to me, it sounds like there is... It's not Canadian law. You cannot say the foundation principle of matching is from the 1947 case from the House of Lords.
In Britain, right.
I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I get it before the Treaty of Westminster that, UK case law was applicable to Canada, but now we're in 1947.
I know. Yeah.
It's purely a British case.
Yes, agreed.
So it should be like, hey, by the way, there's this British case saying this. I think we should have the same principle.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it's right to say like, hey, there's a British case. That is the law. You have to follow this law.
Right, I agree. It is not right.
I mean,
So what Desjardins is doing here is, hey, this guy with this guy wearing a robe said so.
And a wig.
Therefore,
Probably.
and a wig. Therefore, must be law, and that's not us. That's not law.
It sounds weird to me. I mean,
Yeah.
I get it for the joke of Westminster because it's from the 1930s and technically it applies in Canadian law.
Yes, it applied directly, but by 1947.
47? Really?
You tell me. I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
Not
So,
my king.
Let's read what Viken.
Okay. Okay. So. Okay.
Viscount Simon's words in that case were directed to both services completely rendered or goods supplied,
Yeah.
and that Canderel was in the type of service industry, namely the rental of commercial premises.
Right.
Therefore, she held that the tips were to be deducted as the services were rendered, that is, over the period of the lease.
Yeah.
She distinguished Valambrosa rubber
Yeah.
and naval colliery as cases in which the expenses in question truly could not be matched to specific items of revenue. I think we have to read those cases just to get an example of when do you have an expense that doesn't match your income.
But Symes dealt with this, right? Because Symes' thing was like the childcare expense. So the idea was that when I incur the childcare expense, I don't specifically earn this dollar of my legal income from that expense. But I can't earn any dollar of legal income unless I incur this expense. So Symes is
But they rejected
the,
her appeal.
I understand, but they didn't reject that part of it. They
Oh,
said
okay.
it was not a business expense, and we gave you this childcare expenditure. Go get that, the childcare tax credit. But they did not dispute this point of it.
Okay,
This
I get
part
it
of
now.
it, they agreed.
Okay.
And so that's our law, right? That
Yes.
you don't have to have a direct correlation between I spent this dollar and I got that dollar of profit.
No, but the expense must be, en vue de,
Yeah.
to get business
Yes.
income.
Absolutely. It's got to be. I mean,
It,
not. You have to have a profit motive.
yeah.
You have to have incurred for the purpose. I think the general rule is paid or
Okay.
incurred for the purpose of producing that business or property income.
Okay, makes sense.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
As cases in which the expenses in question truly could not be matched to specific items of revenue. Further, she found that because timing was not
Right.
raised in Cummings, which dealt only with whether lease pickup expenses were an account of income of capital, the obiter comment in that case concerning tips were neither binding nor persuasive.
Okay. So we don't have a timing
Therefore,
resolution.
Desjardins was in agreement with the majority that the tips paid by Canderel in 1986 were to be amortized over the life of their respective leases, and that such would be the only method acceptable for income tax purposes.
Okay.
But how do you amortize it? That's my question.
Well, I know we still don't know.
I don't know. What's the rule?
Over the life of the respective leases, I guess proportionally. Just take the number and divide it by the number of years in the lease. Why not? Well, how else would you do it?
That's a question because I think at the beginning, I think you pay more. Because at the first year, let's say you have 6
understand,
months free.
But because it's not, I don't know which.
I cannot do the matching properly. There's
Yeah,
no
okay.
way to do. There's no way to know for sure, except if you write it in the contract. There's no way to know
Yeah.
when is the expense realized.
Okay. So it's a good point. That is, it could be that the inducement payment is fully recouped the moment the taxpayer signs the lease and now owes you 5 years of rent,
Yeah.
the net present value of which could be determined, and then you'd have to amortize based on the net present value as it spins out over the next 5 years. Or you could say, and also you could say that that's too complicated. Just do a straight line amortization, or you could say, look, you got to go look at capital cost allocation and find out how they normally do things. They just don't care about net present value.
Because
that's why we do declining balance.
Because I'm thinking as a renter, it's worth a lot to have a 10-year lease But I don't care that much about having a 2-year lease. The longer it is, the more value it is to me.
As the person, the landlord.
The landlord,
Yeah. Yes.
That if I were to transfer the lease, I would get a lot of value in a 10-year lease, but not so much in a 2-year lease.
Fine. Yes.
So
okay, so maybe we're going to find out
Yeah.
how they're going to resolve this.
maybe there's something in the gap, actually, or the IFRS that would tell me what
how the
I have to do.
accountants would do it. Right.
If you're in accounting, please drop a comment down below, like and subscribe for more.
Tell us all the answers to all of our questions, all of our accounting questions. Nice. I like how that.
We're missing a bit of sound effects.
Yeah, get them in there. Yeah. Okay. 27.
Issues. As already stated, this appeal raises only one direct issue: whether tenant inducement payments are deductible from income entirely in the year in which they are incurred, or whether the Minister of Revenue, the Minister of National Revenue is entitled to insist that that they amortize over the terms of the leases to which they relate. Why is the question, is the minister entitled to insist?
The framing of the question begets the
You're
answer.
you're just framing the question as like, oh, is this right? Or can the minister really insist that this is the correct way?
Yeah.
To answer this question, however, it will first be necessary to examine the fundamental principles of profit computation under the Income Tax Act.
Okay. And so once again, like, having not understood that these are loans, we will just determine whether the minister can insist to amortize. Yeah. Yeah. Or to take them directly. Okay. So finally we are at analysis. Here we go. And it's interesting that we have to go back to basics. So many of the cases go back to basics.
Okay.
All right.
Analysis.
So we're going back to basics.
General principles of profit computation.
He's a menace with the soundboard. Okay.
In the relatively recent case of Symes, this court considered the general principles which govern the computation of profit for income tax purposes. However, because some of the principles enunciated in Symes may have been misinterpreted.
Oh,
Including by me, I think.
okay.
Just now. 2 minutes ago. I propose to review these general principles in order to resolve the issue in this appeal and to clarify the critical issue of profit computation for the purposes of the Income Tax Act.
Okay.
The interpretive framework. It is appropriate to begin the consideration of profit with subsection 9.1 of the Act, which defines a taxpayer's income for taxation either from a business or property sources as his profit therefrom for the year. Significantly, profit is not defined in subsection 9.1 or anywhere else in the Act. It seems to me that this approach was a deliberate legislative choice, particularly given that the Act contains exhaustive definitions of numerous other concepts and terms with which it deals. This choice reflects the reality that no single definition can adequately apply to the millions of different taxpayers bound by the Act. Under our self-assessment system, each taxpayer must be able to compute his or her income in such a way as to constitute an accurate picture of his or her income situation, subject, of course, to express provisions in the Act which require specific treatment of certain types of expenses or receipts.
You suddenly have an echo. So we had this problem a couple times, and I have no idea what causes it, and then eventually it just goes away, but I don't know why. I'll read for a minute. I know. So let me read for a minute, and then see if we fix it. The audio is not clear.
Oh.
No, we both have an echo. Oh, great. That's what we need. We need some more problems.
Okay, but I am not hearing the echo in my headphones.
Oh. We've had tech problems today. Let me hear.
Hello.
I hear nothing. Am I plugged in? Yeah, I am. Oh, but I'm on, 2. Maybe my volume's too low. Turn me up.
Is that 2? Is that 2?
I hear nothing.
Is that 2? Is that
Nothing.
2? Is that 2? Is that 4? Is that 2?
How will I learn about matching?
We have to match the
I hear nothing.
soundboard. Okay, that's weird. Okay.
Oh,
Do you?
I just did for a second. I think this, there we go. This thing is not perfect.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
But I do not hear an echo. We sound perfect to me.
We sound very good. Best sound we've had all day. At least in my ears. But it looks like the crowd doesn't agree.
You could try on YouTube. Are we actually still there? You could try watching the stream on YouTube and see if the audio is any better there.
No, you look good. Okay,
sound
we look good.
Sound is questionable.
It's kind of weird because from our perspective, we look bad and we sound good.
That's right. That's
from the outside perspective, we look good and we sound bad.
It still is hard.
Okay, this is...
But I don't know what to do about it because we have had the same exact audio the entire time. And once in a while, it does get a little echoey, and I don't know what to do.
I don't get it.
I have no idea.
If I go closer to...
Okay, just try it on YouTube and see. Yeah, like, to me, it's perfect. You're perfect.
What then is the true nature of
Stop it! I can't do, what do you call it?
ASMR?
ASMR. No,
Passive
I cannot do
ASMR.
it. I cannot do it.
Maybe I could do that.
Stop it! Stop it! Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens suddenly. I'll go check it on YouTube. Okay, keep going. Okay, Monica's gonna try to catch us on YouTube instead.
But we have someone from the public, so we should wait until it's fixed.
I don't know what to do. There's absolutely nothing to change. Like, we
What?
sound perfect in here.
Yeah. What if I just go like here?
I don't know.
Why is the sound not good?
Because you and I can't hear what they're hearing. And also, I have noticed this before when I go into the recording that all of a sudden it's not good, but I have no idea why. It just flips like that. So we may just have a technical lack of computing. I don't know.
Maybe
Could
it's
be
a
Instagram.
computing problem because what we get now in our headphones is the sound from the soundboard.
Yeah.
So that's the sound before it gets processed by the computer. So it's the bandwidth or whatever of the Wi-Fi
Could be.
is not good enough. Or it's aliens.
Okay.
I think the problem here is clearly the aliens. They don't have all those tax principles, and they just connect to our podcast, and they love it so much. They take all the bandwidth.
Yeah, it could be the aliens. That's what it is. Oh my gosh. How does it have that weird stuff in the back? What's going on? Okay. That's interesting that I can't even get into my own YouTube on here. Oh boy. Yeah. It is not showing me live on YouTube right now.
Oh, are we live?
Oh, but we are on because I was watching it just a second ago. So, but somehow I can't watch it on here.
We sure we are?
Yeah, it says live. Okay, let's try. Let me try. And so I can't. I think it may be. No, it's working there. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Okay, it's all good. Let's just continue and see what happens. All right, so
we're here.
yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can't hear it, so I don't know.
It sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna resolve this for next time.
Perfect.
Yeah. Good. We're back.
What then is the true nature of profit for tax purposes? While the concept has been variously expressed, perhaps the clearest and most concise articulation of the term is to be found in the oft-quoted decision of this court in Minister of National Revenue versus Irwin, where profit in a year was taken to consist of the difference between the receipts from the trade or business during such a year and the expenditure laid out to earn those receipts. This definition was echoed by Jacket in Associated Investors of Canada.
Yeah.
Jacket P?
Yeah.
What is P?
No idea.
It's not justice.
No.
It's...
I think it's his first name.
Oh. Associated Investors of Canada, where he stated, ordinary commercial principles dictate, according to the decisions, that the annual profit from a business must be ascertained by setting against the revenues from the business for the year, the expenses incurred in earning such revenues. Accepting the fundamental definition in Symes, the majority made the following observations about the computation of profit. The profit concept in subsection 9.1 is inherently a net concept, which presupposes business expense deductions. It is now generally accepted that it is subsection 9.1 which authorizes the deduction of business expenses. The provisions of subsection 18.1 are limited provisions only. Under subsection 9.1, deductibility is ordinarily considered, as it was by Thorson P.
Oh, there's another P.
Another P in Royal Trust. Okay, now I'm curious, because this is the Canadian Exchequer Court. P.
Is it DTC? Is that not a tribunal rather than a court?
Is it like proto-notary?
Yeah, something like that. The first approach to the question, whether a particular disbursement or expense was deductible for income tax purpose, should be SIS, I think, was to ascertain whether its deduction was consistent with ordinary principles of commercial trading or well-accepted principles of business practice. Emphasis added. Get there yet? Thus, in a deductibility analysis, one's first recourse is to subsection 9.1, a section which embodies, as the trial judge suggested, a form of business test for taxable profit. This is a test which has been variously phrased. As the trial judge rightly noted, the determination of profit under subsection 9.1 is a question of law, again citing Neonex. Perhaps for this reason, and as Neonex itself impliedly suggests, courts have been reluctant to posit a subsection 9.1 test based upon generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP. Any reference to GAAP connotes a degree of control by professional accountants, which is inconsistent with a legal test for profit under subsection 9.1. Further, whereas an accountant questioning the propriety of a deduction may be motivated by a desire to present an appropriately conservative picture of current profitability, the act is motivated by a different purpose, the raising of public revenues. For these reasons, it is more appropriate in considering the subsection 9.1 business test to speak of well-accepted principles of business or accounting practice or well-accepted principles of commercial trading.
Okay, so
figure it out?
The P is president.
President
of
like
the
the
court.
tax. It's a court of the court, not the exchequer court.
The Kurdlischki.
Okay.
So it's the president.
President.
Mr. President.
President.
Interesting fact: the case
Fun fact.
Royal Trust Company
Okay.
was argued by Mr. Steichman in person.
Ah.
H.H. Steichman.
There you go.
Queen's Counsel.
Shout out to H.H. Mr. Heward Steichman.
Heward
H. Steichman.
What was the other H? Heward?
I don't know.
Heward H.
I
Steichman?
have the book about him somewhere here, and I could look it up, but not right now. I can't remember.
It's the name of the chair.
Yeah, I know. I should know
H.H.
the...
Steichman.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, let's find out. H.
Oh my gosh.
Google.
The great difficulty which seems to have plagued the courts in the assessment of profit for income tax purposes bespeaks the need for as much clarity as possible in formulating a legal test, therefore. The starting proposition, of course, must be that the determination of profit under subsection 9.1 is a question of law, not of fact. That seems strange. Its legal determinants are two in number. First, any express provision of the Income Tax Act which dictates some specific treatment to be given to particular types of expenditures or receipts, including the general limitation expressed in paragraph 18.1a. And second, established rules of law resulting from judicial interpretation over the years of these various provisions.
Okay, so the official name of the chair is the H. Heward Steichman chair.
Yeah.
And I'm on the McGill website, and I'm on the page where they were talking about Mr. Steichman.
Yeah.
And it says H. Heward Steichman, blah, 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 was a two-time graduate of McGill.
Yeah.
I think his name was H. Heward, like just H.
No. Come on. There's a period, so it's got to be like Henry or...
Okay, but literally, I found
Harold?
a paper from the Canadian Tax Foundation in honor of
Always
H. Heward Steichman.
I know. He's always mentioned as H.
H. Heward Steichman died, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Always
So-
H. Heward. Yeah.
Can
I don't
your
know what to
name
tell you.
be just a letter? Like,
You need to go back into thingy on there. So you can see what's going on the Instagram. And you're back. No, you're not back.
Not yet.
Is it still there? I'm looking at it, so I think it's okay.
No, it's fine.
Okay, good.
Okay.
You're at paragraph 33.
We'll keep going after this brief pause.
Sidebar about H. Hubert. I'll look it up. I think there's a name there, but I can't remember. But it is funny. Nobody uses it. They all say H. Hubert.
Nobody knows.
Nobody. I mean, they probably know. Man, I got his little book here somewhere. It has a spiral bind. Okay, and now you got me curious. Is it this one?
Yeah. H. Hubert Steigman.
Family history. He was so cute. Wasn't he so cute? I'm not in. I've got it like my mic in the way. Anyway. Harry. I told you it's Harold. Harry Hubert Steigman. There you go. There he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a surprise. It's like no one knows.
Nobody is named just with one letter, though, are they? I mean, does that exist in the world?
Probably.
Okay. We could read that book online some other day. H is for Harry. Yeah, that's right.
That's cool.
She's back.
Oh.
Did
Thank
the YouTube not work? It's crazy. What is crazy?
What is crazy? We want to know what is crazy.
There's a lag between YouTube and Instagram. Yeah, I know. That's true. There's different lags on the different
which is fine because if you have two computers or two iPhones, you can plug like your left headphones to Instagram or YouTube and the opposite for the other one. And so you will get everything not in sync.
Are we still echoing? That's the real question here.
You know, we could be echoing if you actually do what I just said.
Yeah.
Then you would probably hear us.
Yeah.
Like double.
Well, I'll check the sound quality later, but we're going to fix this I think we're going to have to probably get a new computer. We're going to have to invest in a new computer.
So just because of the echo, we're going to just buy a new computer?
No, I just think we're not getting enough. I thought we were fine based on my parameters on this guy, but maybe it's just not enough. Based on what's all going on the table right now, it's just not enough.
I think we just have too much tech.
Great idea. Hear it twice. It's much better, but the audio quality hasn't been my favorite. It should be absolutely perfect, but it's not. Okay. We're going to upgrade. We're going to upgrade. We're going to fix it. Swear. I mean, when I listen to the recording, it sounds perfect, except that there is that echo creeps in sometimes, and I don't know what caused it. So I don't know. We have some uncertainties here, but we are sort of, what do you call, like paperclip and, duct tape. We're sort of duct tape and paperclip together since the beginning here. So we're going to invest and improve our quality, and we will fix it.
No echo, but it's just a weird hollow sound.
Okay,
well, I could remove it.
Well, wait a minute. Could it be?
Can remove it in the audio processing. Like I can do this.
Just a
But
second.
the problem if I do this.
Could it be this? How about now? Is it still the same?
Okay, so I have to do it for number 2.
No, don't you change anything. Don't you change anything. I just changed something on my setting here.
But I just want to show our public that we do have a setting. But the problem is if we do put the setting in action, my voice will go in and out when I start speaking, which is a bit annoying. I mean, the audio is probably much better now, but if I'm not talking strong enough, it's getting off.
Okay. I changed something here, so if you also change something there, then now we have no way to know which one is which.
Oh, I can just remove the noise gate, and we're gonna know if it's better. No, you see this, the whole sound is.
I just know that it's definitely fine. She says AC has crazy standards, but it's definitely fine. Fine is not good enough.
No, fine means you're a loser.
Yeah. Okay. So, currently, is there an echo or no echo? Oh my gosh. This is terrible. It's awful to not know because like what we're listening to sounds perfectly fine. Oh my God, dead. Okay, I don't know what to do. Okay. We're going to solve it. We'll solve it by upgrading. No echo. Echo's gone. Do we sound better or still just fine? I think
We're waiting for the judgment.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, but at least I would know if that one thing that I just switched might have changed it. Okay, paragraph 33. Let's keep going. Come on, we got work to do here. Yeah, exactly.
Just fine. Okay, we're losing.
Just fine. Okay, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix it. I am gonna fix this because that's annoying to have like, yeah, everything should be perfect and it's not perfect. That makes me upset. Okay.
I'm thinking about, because I kind of hear a wind sound in the back.
Well, did you do the sound suppression thing?
Now I moved it, but maybe it's the decompressor, de-esser, or these things.
I don't know.
Oral exciter. I have a button that's called oral exciter on my console, and I have no idea. I put it on and off, and I'm actually not sure. Well, actually, it's kind of better if I put it off. What about big button?
But I don't hear anything. Like the furnace isn't on, the fridge is not on. Like I hear nothing that could possibly be interfering.
What about processing? Okay.
Oh my god.
I have a button called oral exciter, and the other one is big bottom. I don't know what they're doing. I'm just trying on and off them, and I think it's kind of better if I do it that way. What about I do the noise gate and also that?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. High pass.
Pause
what is
as
this?
we do technical.
Okay, I think what I have to do is figure out how exactly my console, well, your console, but I have the possession now because I'm the one
Yeah.
doing the stuff.
Right.
How it works exactly.
Yeah, it would be
Because there's
good.
a bunch of weird things that
Yeah,
I
you
don't
gotta study
actually
it.
know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I only have an empirical knowledge of
Oral
it.
exciter is not well accepted. She doesn't like it. Does
Okay.
not like it. Turn that off.
I
Try the other one.
okay, but is it?
What about now? Okay.
But we have a delay, so we don't know what is.
I know, so you gotta stop changing things randomly, just leave it and then see if it gets any better. Oh my gosh, let's read. Okay, read. Paragraph 33.
Beyond these parameters, any further tools of analysis which may provide assistance in reaching a determination of profit are just that, interpretive aids and no more.
Okay.
Into this category fall the well-accepted principle of business or accounting practice, which were mentioned in Symes, also referred to as the ordinary commercial principles or well-accepted principles of commercial trading, among other terms. A formal codification of these principles is to be found in the generally accepted accounting principles gap.
By the way, we have defined generally because it's the accounting principles, but GAAP like 7 times already in this judgment. It's very annoying. Okay. Sometimes with periods, sometimes without. It's very annoying. But here we are again. Developed by the accounting.
But that's fine.
That's fine. You're right. That's fine.
That's fine.
That's completely fine.
Developed by the accounting profession for use in the preparation of financial statements. These principles are accepted by the accounting profession as yielding accurate financial information about the subject of the statements and become generally accepted,
Yeah.
either by actually being followed in a number
Wow.
of cases,
Okay.
by finding support in pronouncements of professional bodies, by finding support in the writing of academics and others, or by more than one of these methods. See Peter Hogg and Joanne McGee, Principle of Canadian Income Tax Law.
Okay, so that means I'm going to be generally accepted if I am followed in a number of cases, supported in pronouncements of professional boundaries, bodies, supported in the writings of academics or others, or by one of these. So if other academics support me, then I'm generally accepted. And if they don't, then I'm not generally. That seems right.
Yeah.
That seems right.
That-
Like
that's
if your
kind of,
community accepts you, then you're generally
I
accepted.
mean, you can say whatever you want, but if no one accepts what you say,
Yeah.
you're not generally accepted.
Right.
You're marginally accepted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What must be remembered?
Marginally accepted. It's pretty good.
What must be remembered, however, is that these are non-legal tools, and as such are external to the legal determination of profit, whereas the provisions of the Act and other established rules of law form its very foundation.
Okay.
This is not to minimize the key role played by such well-accepted business principles, as I shall hereafter refer to them, in the profit computation process. In Friesen, Justice Major made the following observation. The Act does not define profit, nor does it provide any specific rules for the computation of profit.
To me, this is bizarre. The Act definitely provides specific rules for the computation of profit, but okay.
But it does not define profit, that's true.
It defines it by saying all the things you're allowed to deduct from your receipts. Does it not? I mean, I guess it doesn't define receipts.
Exactly. So it's kind of a loop of non-definition.
Okay. Fair enough, yeah.
Why? Because at the end, we want the courts to tell us how to compute profit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tax jurisprudence has established the determination of profit under subsection 9.1 is a question of law to be determined according to the business test of well-accepted principles of business or accounting practice, or well-accepted principle of commercial trading, except where these are inconsistent with the specific provisions of the Income Tax Act. I think this statement aptly describes the proper relationship between tax law and business principles. In the absence of a statutory definition of profit, it would be unwise for the law to eschew the valuable guidance offered by well-established business principles. Indeed, this principle will, more often than not, constitute the very basis of the determination of profit. However, well-accepted business principles are not rules of law, and thus a given principle may not be applicable to every case. More importantly, these principles must necessarily take a subordinate position relative to the legal rules which govern.
Yeah. Fine.
Great. Yeah. Agreed.
Agreed.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up for basic knowledge. Yes. Breaking news.
That's my breaking news.
Yeah. Oh, you got to find it. Here you go. Okay, good.
This is not just breaking news, it's a major breaking news.
Breaking news.
Written by Justice Major.
Literally, yes. Right.
The reason for this is simple. Generally speaking, well-accepted business principles will have their roots in the methodology of financial accounting, which, as was expressed in Symes, is motivated by factors fundamentally different from taxation.
Right.
Moreover, financial accounting is usually concerned with providing a comparative picture of profit from year to year, and therefore strives for methodological consistency for the benefit of the audience, for whom the financial statements are prepared, shareholders, investors, lenders, regulators, etc. Tax imputation, on the other hand, is solely concerned with achieving an accurate picture of income for each individual taxation year for the benefit of the taxpayer and the tax collector. Depending on the taxpayer's commercial activity during a particular year, the methodology used to calculate profit for tax purposes
Where are you? I got lost, sorry.
36, middle.
Thank you.
May be substantially different from that employed in the previous year, which in turn may be different from that which was employed in the year before. Therefore, while financial accounting may, as a matter of fact, constitute an accurate determinant of profits for some purposes, its application to the legal question of profit is inherently limited. Caution must be exercised when applying accounting principles to a legal question.
Okay, caution must be exercised.
Yeah.
We always see caution being exercised when it's a GAR, so now we see a caution being exercised when there's accounting principles involved. Yeah. Okay, fine.
I do not wish to be taken, however, as minimizing the role of GAAP in the determination of profit for income tax purposes.
Okay.
Some have inferred from my reasons in Symes an intention that GAAP are to be rejected entirely. See, for example, Hott and McGee.
Yeah. That's yeah. Yes.
So is this really a dialogue between academia and the courts?
There is dialogue going on here. Yeah, saying that's not what I said.
It's really pointing out to like one specific piece.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Hug, you're wrong.
Yeah. This is not what I intended.
At the beginning it was like some have misunderstood what I said in Symes.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we see who.
This is not what I intended. In fact, the better view is that...
better view.
The better view.
Yeah, nice.
Is that GAAP will generally form the very foundation of the well-accepted business principles applicable in computing profit. It is important, however, for the courts to avoid delegating the criteria for the legal test of profit to the accounting profession, and therefore its distinction must be maintained.
Okay.
That is, while GAAP may more often than not parallel the well-accepted business principle recognized by the law, there may be occasions on which they will differ, and on such occasions the latter must prevail. See, for example, Friedberg. Moreover, there will, of course, be situations in which GAAP will offer various acceptable options in the preparation of financial statements, and a taxpayer will be free, for financial accounting purposes, to adopt whichever option best suits his financial objectives at the given time. In such cases, GAAP will surely not be determinative as to the method by which an accurate picture of profit may be obtained for tax purposes, though it may still be useful as a guide to the various acceptable methods of computation, one of which may yield the appropriate result for taxation. A good example of the relationship among the provisions of the Act, the principle developed in the case law, and GAAP or well-accepted business principles can be found in subsection 18.9 of the Act, which requires the amortization of certain prepaid expenses over the period of time which they relate. It is possible, although I express no specific opinion on this matter, that some of these expenses could be treated otherwise for the purposes of GAAP or business practice. Perhaps they might be deducted entirely in the year incurred or even capitalized. However, this possibility is negated for tax purposes by their specific legislative treatment. I pause here for a moment.
I just hate it when
Let's pause.
I just
what do we have to pause? Pause. Pause.
Pause here for a moment. I don't understand this kind of writing. Well, you see it a lot in the tax court or in the court cases. Yeah.
Pause.
Pause.
Pause. Let's pause.
Let's pause. Okay.
Let's go back. For a moment, to distinguish the role of the courts in this regard from that of Parliament. Generally speaking, the courts are free, in the absence of contrary legislation or established rules of law, to assess the taxpayer's computation of income in accordance with well-accepted business principles. Obviously, this will require an assessment in each case of which of these principles apply to the particular circumstances which present themselves.
This require an assessment in each case. This
will
require of which of these principles apply to that which present themselves. There's a lot of whiches in there, and I got a little bit lost.
Lots of wishes.
Yes, nearly witches. Okay.
However, it is not for the court to decide that one principle is paramount, or applicable to the exclusion of subordination of all others by saying that it has been elevated to the status of rule of law, which is to apply in all situations. That is exclusively within the province of Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
And the willingness of Parliament to exercise this power is exemplified by Section 18.9 and by countless other codifications in the Act of what would otherwise likely be considered well-accepted business principles. See signs.
Yeah.
For the court to usurp the inherent power of Parliament is rife with unnecessary danger.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As was observed in Royal Bank of Canada versus Power Electric Corporation, all that is needed to effect the desired result is clear language of that kind. In the absence of such clear language, judicial innovation is undesirable.
Undesirable, yeah.
Both because the issue is policy charged and because the legislative mandate
policy
is
charged. To be mean political? Policy charged. Okay.
Is apt to be clearer than a rule whose precise bounds will become fixed only as a result of expensive and lengthy legislation. The law of income tax is sufficiently complicated without unhelpful judicial incursions into the realm of lawmaking. As a matter of policy, and out of respect for the proper role of the legislature, it is right to say that the promulgation of new rules of tax law must be left to Parliament. As one eminent jurist of the United States Supreme Court once observed, we are a Supreme Court, not a Supreme Legislature.
How? Okay,
Who said that?
Exactly. Where is the citation? Come on! What are you doing?
When you have quotation marks, you need to tell me where this is from.
When you have quotation marks, you need a footnote.
Especially when you cite a U.S. Supreme Court justice.
Come on! What? But anyway.
Who said
that is frustrating. I don't like that.
When? What is the context?
Exactly.
Is it the case? Is it like a
one of the, yeah. Of course, this is distinct from the interpretation of such rules, such as, for example, the elucidation of the otherwise undefined concept of profit, which is well within the jurisdiction of the courts. Such interpretive jurisprudence will fall within the category of rules of law, which, as a matter of course, will predominate over well-accepted business principles. However, when no specific legal rule has been developed, either in the case law or under the Act, the taxpayer will be free to calculate his or her income in accordance with well-accepted business principles and to adopt whichever of these is appropriate in the particular circumstances, is not inconsistent with the law, and, as I shall elaborate upon below, yields an accurate picture of his profit for the year. The simple application by a court of one or another well-accepted business principle to a particular case or cases, moreover, will not ordinarily amount to the elevation of that principle to the status of a rule of law. In general, the minister will not be entitled to insist that one method supported by business practice and commercial principles be employed over another, equally supported method, unless, as I will develop below, the method chosen by the taxpayer fails to yield an accurate picture of his or her income for the taxation year. Okay, who said it?
I'm failing to find a direct quote. Okay, I'm
Marbury
asking
versus
Claude right
Madison. I bet you, it could be Marbury versus Madison. But it's probably one of the cases where they don't want to uphold or they don't want to override the legislature, right? They want to say like,
Yeah.
we are interpreters, we are not legislators. You want to change a law, you got to go to Parliament. Sometimes Justice Rowe says that. He's like,
True.
yeah.
What is the case, Madison?
Marbury versus Madison. It's the first one that challenged basically said the Supreme Court is the law of the land in America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marshall and Marbury.
Marshall, yeah. Could be Marshall. I don't know.
Is it a direct quote? I'm not sure.
I mean, look, we have nothing to go on because they gave us nothing. So.
Also, we are, what year are we? We are in 1998. You cannot just ask Google in 1988.
Yeah, so how did they know? I must have read it somewhere. Why didn't they tell us?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Okay,
We're at
the
43.
interpretive goal,
Yeah.
an accurate picture of income. Having established an appropriate framework for analysis, I should now like to discuss what exactly is the question that must be answered when attempting to assess a taxpayer's profit for tax purposes. A good place to begin is with the decision of the Federal Court of Appeal in West Kootenay, where McGuigan, Justice McGuigan, I have to be careful reading this because he uses big words.
He does.
Justice McGuigan. The approved principle is that whichever method presents the truer picture of a taxpayer's revenue, which more fairly and accurately portrays income, and which matches revenue and expenditures, if one method does, is the one that must be followed. In the court below, Justice Stone took this passage as grounding his conclusion that the matching principle of accounting has been elevated to a rule of law. Obviously, in light of my previous comments, I do not, with respect, subscribe to that point of view. To my mind, the significance of this statement is to confirm a much sounder proposition, that the goal of the legal test of profit should be to determine which method of accounting best depicts the reality of the financial situation of the particular taxpayer. If this is accomplished by applying the matching principle, then so be it.
Okay.
On the other hand, if some other method is appropriate, is permissible under well-accepted business principles, and is not prohibited either by the Act or by some specific rule of law, then there is no principal basis by which the minister should be entitled to
there you go.
insist
There's that language.
that the matching principles, or any other method for that matter, be employed.
Okay.
McGuigan in West Kootenay seemed to Justice McGuigan in West Kootenay seemed to advert to this notion in the passage immediately following the above court portion. The result often will not be different from what would be using a consistency principle, but a truer picture or matching approach is not absolute in its effect and requires a close look at the facts of a taxpayer's situation. As an aside, we just took a break.
Sidebar. Yeah, he took
taking a sidebar.
You never know when they're coming back, too. They always say, like, I paused now, but they never tell you, like, oh, I'm back.
It's like I paused as an aside.
Sidebar, yeah.
Maybe it's because of the velocity, because
There's too much velocity, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay.
As on the side, I will also observe that the compartmentalization.
Wow.
Ooh,
Compartmentalization. 7 syllables. That's a big one. Yeah.
As on the side, I will also observe that the compartmentalization
Yes.
of income
Yes.
calculation.
Precisely. As an aside, I would also observe that the compartmentalization of income calculation.
I thought only McGuigan was
you
using
said,
big words.
I know. You know what they're talking about here. This is the source doctrine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
La compartmentalisation.
Oh.
Compartmentalisation. Compartmentalisation.
Is it? Is it? Compartmentalisation. Is it?
No, that sounds weird.
It does seem like there's...
Compartiment.
Compartisation.
Compartimentalisation.
That.
Of income calculation has led to a process that is far more complicated than necessary.
Okay.
To attempt to achieve a useful picture of profit by reference only to rigid categories of expenses, running expenses, matchable expenses, etc., can become a frustrating exercise in futility.
Okay.
See Richard B. Thomas.
This time we get a site. Yeah. Okay.
The matching principle, legal principle or concept. Rather than trying to discern into which pigeonhole a particular income expenditure falls, the taxpayer's focus should be on attempting to portray his or her income in the manner which best reflects his or her true financial position for the year, that is, which gives an accurate picture of profit. To do otherwise is to lose sight of the taxation forest for the practice or principal treatments.
I don't know what that means.
What?
No, I don't like that.
In other words, okay, that might be useful. The competing concepts of running expenses and matching, which appear to be at plain disappeal, fall into the category of well-accepted business principles, no more, no less. They are simply important interpretive aids, which may assist, but are not determinative, in the illumination of an accurate picture of the taxpayer's income. We're using a lot of metaphors here, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
We have elimination, compartmentalization, the forest, the tree, the pigeonhole.
There's a lot going on there. Yeah.
And also, it's a bit surprising coming from, like, Yakubuchi so far has been like very precise, very taxed.
And now all of a sudden
it's like,
we're painting.
yeah.
We're like painting pictures of the world. Yeah. Pigeonhole, not a chicken. Close to it.
Pigeonhole.
Close to a chicken, so you could hold up a chicken to say that you're in the pigeonhole. It's not a pigeon, but it's close. That is not at all shocking whatsoever. Which of these pigeonholes are you in? I'm sure that we're gonna check the audio by listening to these chickens. That's what we're going to do when this is all over. Good? Good.
I was expecting them to, like, have a sound when they, like...
I know. No, they just squawk. Which pigeonhole particular? Yeah. So he doesn't want you to think about which particular pigeonhole. He's just trying to... This is what happens when we do this later in the day. This is what we get for that.
It's too late.
Yeah. Okay.
This should not be taken as casting doubt upon those previous decisions which have applied such well-accepted business principles to the computation of profit, even where this might appear to have been a determining factor in the end. In Oxford shopping centres, for example, an amount paid by the taxpayer to the city of Calgary to effect a certain traffic diversion for the benefit of its business what was held to be running expense.
Okay.
In his reasons, Justice Thurlow, as he then was.
Associate chief, right?
Associate chief.
Yeah.
We don't have that anymore.
Oh. Yeah, there is.
Chief.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Who's the associate chief?
I don't know.
There's none. There's
none.
I think the associate chief would be Justice Cote.
No. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Or Roe?
Fair enough. I was thinking the FCA or the tax court. You still have a...
Oh, the tax court. Yeah. Yeah, now it's... who is it? You have Gabriel
I can't
Saint-Hilaire as
remember.
the Chief
Yeah.
Justice.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'd have to look it up.
And it's, is it Annick something? What's her name? I really have her face in my head right now.
Yeah, I can see
She used to be for the government.
Yeah. Don't get distracted.
I'm
In
getting
his
distracted.
reasons, Thurlow
Held at the matching principle. If you know the answer, please
drop
drop
it
a
in the
comment
chat.
down
There you
below,
go.
like and subscribe. Thank
explain
you.
it. Yeah,
Held that the
do that.
matching principle did not apply to a running expense, even though deducting the expense entirely in the year incurred would distort the income for a particular year. While at first glance, the decision might appear to fly in the face of the accurate picture principle, in my view, the facts of the case gave rise to a choice between two difficult positions: either to permit the distortion of the taxpayer's income for a single year by allowing the intermittent deduction of a running expense, or to require the distortion of its income for a number of years by forcing the arbitrary amortization of an expense which was not clearly referable to any particular item of revenue income. Given this choice, it is apparent that Associate Chief Justice Thurlow recognized that to apply the matching principle of accounting as a well-accepted business principle, not a rule of law, would not have assisted in obtaining an accurate picture of the taxpayer's income. Thus, he ruled it inapplicable to the circumstances of the case before him, while expressly adverting to the freedom of the taxpayers to so amortize in appropriate cases, as had been previously held in Tower Investment and in Canadian Glassine.
Okay.
Glassine?
Maybe.
Glassine Canadian.
Okay.
Okay, cool. To my mind,
Yeah.
this is an excellent example of the proper approach to be taken to the computation of profit. To the extent that they may be applicable to particular circumstances, well-accepted business principles are to be assessed and applied only on a case-by-case basis, and only for the purposes of achieving an accurate picture of profit for the year in question. For income tax purposes, in this light, I have no hesitation in finding that to the extent that the majority decision of the Federal Court of Appeal was premised on the view of the matching principle as a rule of law, it was clearly an error.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a lot of paragraphs to just get to the point of like, hey, no.
Yeah.
The matching principle is not the only principle here. It's one, and if it gets you to clear reflection of income, great. But if it doesn't, that doesn't, then you need something else.
It's just like it is not law.
Yeah.
It is an aid, interpretive aid,
Yeah.
but it's not law.
Yeah,
And that's it.
that's it.
That's the whole thing.
40-some paragraphs to get to that point.
Okay, and so
All
the,
right.
the Associate Chief Justice of the Tax Court now is indeed Annick Pelletier.
Oh, yeah.
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 So we have Annick Pelletier, Associate Chief Justice, and Chief Justice, the Honorable Gabrielle Saint-Hilaire.
That's it. Yeah.
She used to be in academia.
Yes, that's
So,
right.
yeah.
I knew
She was
that.
in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Ottawa.
Yeah.
It's nice to have academia on the bench.
On the bench, yes. One of the newer justices, Heckman, is also, no, that's on the FCA, is
FCA,
also an
yeah.
academic, yeah. Okay,
Okay, let's keep going. Almost there.
getting there, yeah.
In reaching these conclusions, I am well aware of my remarks in Friesen at paragraph 118 to the following effect. The appellant's interpretation would also undermine the matching principle underpinning Section 9 of the Act, Neonex.
Oh, wait a minute. So Justice Iacobucci is saying, hey, you know what? I said the opposite.
That. Yeah. But let's find out why I said the opposite. For an information of the importance of this principle and an invalidation of an attempt to claim expenses in a year in which they were not incurred, see also West Kootenay, Power and Light. The principle emphasizes that receipts and expenditures which produce the net income are to be properly matched in the same time period. Vern Krishna, The Fundamentals of Canadian Income Tax, was expecting to see taxation here, and I stopped mid-word.
Yeah, that's okay. You had to stop because he only used tax, not taxation.
Taxation. Droit fiscal.
C'est ça.
The importance of the match flows from the critical role timing considerations play in taxation matters. While at first glance, this statement might be taken to support the recognition of the
Well, at
matching
first glance,
principle.
what I said definitely says something that what I'm saying now says something
Such
different
was
than what I'm
not
saying
the true meaning of
Yeah.
these remarks.
Right.
Let me tell you what I meant. Rather, I was simply acknowledging the general principle that the computation of profit involves the offsetting of revenues against the expenditures incurred in earning them. This is hardly a novel concept. See Irwin. And clearly goes to the quest for an accurate picture of the taxpayer's income. In circumstances where an expenditure is incurred principally for the specific purpose of earning a discrete and identifiable
Yeah.
item of revenue, it will generally yield a more accurate picture of profit to deduct that expenditure from taxable income in the year in which the revenue is realized. However, it will always be a matter of debate in light of well-accepted business principles, whether a particular expenditure was in fact made principally for this purpose, and whether it is possible or appropriate to match the expenditure against some specific revenue, either current or future. Nothing in my remarks in Friesen serves to cast doubt upon this fundamental premise. Okay, so he's like, this is not really what I meant. Here is what I meant. Let's clarify.
Yeah.
It follows. I think it's kind of interesting that this judgment really, the judge is really like quoting and clarifying himself.
His own words. Yeah.
It follows from all of that, in calculating his or her income for a taxation year, the taxpayer must adopt a method of computation which is not inconsistent with the act.
Yeah.
Must not be consistent, but
Doesn't have
not
to be consistent.
inconsistent.
Just has to be not inconsistent. Does that not mean consistent? Is that like negative income?
No, it's not. It's not the same. It's not consistent. It's not inconsistent with the act, or establish rules of law, which is consistent with well-accepted business principles, and which would yield an accurate picture of his or her income for that year. In the simplest cases, it will not even be necessary to resort formally to the various well-accepted business principles, as the simple formula by which revenues are set against the expenditures incurred in earning them is always the basic determinant. However, where the income picture is more complicated, as is frequently the case, the taxpayer is free to employ whichever well-accepted business principles will be most useful in depicting profit, provided again that the method adopted is not inconsistent with the law. As a general rule, as I have already stated, the minister is in no position to insist on the application of one principle or another, in the absence of some legal rules requiring, unless, as I shall discuss next, the application of an alternative rule would yield a more accurate picture of income than that which was obtained by the taxpayer.
Okay.
Revenue Canada is free to indicate its disapproval of the taxpayer's chosen method of computation by means of assessment. In Johnston, this court held that the onus is on the taxpayer, in the phase of an assessment, to establish that the actual findings on which the assessment is based are wrong. However, to satisfy the onus where the dispute is over the appropriate method of computation, the taxpayer need only show that his or her income was calculated in a manner consistent with the foregoing paragraph. That is, that the figure attained was in conformity with the then existing legal framework and represents an accurate picture of his or her financial position for the year in question. The onus then shifts to the minister to prove either that the figure does not constitute an accurate picture of income, or that some other method of computation would yield a more accurate picture. In doing so, however, emphasize that the minister is not entitled to rely on particular well-accepted business principle as being inherently preferable over others. If the method chosen by the taxpayer is otherwise acceptable by law in accordance with such well-accepted principle, then it is no answer for the minister to say that the other principle should have been employed, unless to do so would have yielded a more accurate picture of income.
Okay, so it sounds like transfer pricing a lot.
Yeah, because it's like, well, before the new budget, we had this quote from Glaxo. Was it Yakobuchi in Glaxo?
I don't recall.
Or Rothstein, I don't remember. But in Glaxo, basically they say, well, transfer pricing is not an exact science. It's based on economic principles. And the OECD guidelines are not the law, but we can use as an interpretive aid the guidelines to find the right method and price. But we are not bound by the guidelines, and the guidelines may not have the full picture in them. So whatever we have to follow is the ITA, not whatever the OECD said. But now with the new budget, there is this new disposition that says we must use transfer price consistent with the OECD guidelines.
Right.
Which is the same as Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. So it means it's not just an interpretive aid. Now it's a normative aid in the sense that you must do what is consistent with the guidelines. You cannot go elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just interpretive aid. It's a normative. It's not law yet.
Right.
Because it's just consistency.
Yeah.
So you cannot say that the guidelines are have the same legal value as the ITA, but it has more value than it had before.
It's an interesting problem because subsection 9.1 is telling you the law is you pay tax on your profit, and doesn't define profit, but then tells you that in computing profit, capital has to be amortized, cannot be deducted currently. So that's the law. And now we're saying, well, this is on, angels dancing on the head of a pin here, but when you have an outlay, which they consider not a loan, again, an outlay, that I can't necessarily point to a specific dollar of income and say this outlay produced that dollar of income, then what? Then how should I, which dollar of rent does the tenant inducement payment produce? I don't know. So what the law is telling me is give me an accurate reflection of income. We're interpreting subsection 9.1 to say profit means an accurate, as close to accurate depiction of your income as is possible. And how do I know? I use the tools that people use when they're determining income. Same thing in transfer pricing. I use these tools because other people have thought about this and this is what they came up with. That doesn't mean that the judge, I guess, can say, I don't agree with that rule. I don't agree with that practice or whatever. But based on what?
And necessarily it will be imperfect because the way we,
for sure, 100%.
we think about income in the general population is not based on taxation year. It's a more global concept. But here we have to say, okay, for this taxation year, from whatever date to whatever date, what is my income for this period? And the tenant inducement payment is a very interesting concept, and the fact that you don't know actually for this specific year
which dollar
what is the expenditure.
Okay, agreed. So this is a lot of paragraphs to get to a point where we're saying use whatever is going to give the most accurate picture of income, but I, the judge, can't necessarily tell you what that's going to be. So you guys, the minister and the taxpayer, you have to show me which one accurately reflects income.
It's basically, there's two options. It's either I do some amortization or I just deduct completely in a year. And it's not clear which is right. I don't know, maybe it's deductible in a year because I actually induce my tenant for that specific year.
Maybe so.
Or maybe it should be amortized. But again, when and how? What percentage each year? Is it like a curve? Is it flat? I don't know.
Exactly,
And so it's kind of a hard question now because you're like, okay, but it's more about the economic science than
I'm not at all surprised that tenant inducement payments come back again after this case. Not at all surprised by that, because this doesn't really seem to solve it. Okay, we're almost there. Here we go.
The outline framework for analysis is, of course, only as useful as its application to actual cases. Turning to the facts of this case will illustrate how this principled approach to computation of income is intended to operate. Before I do this, however, It may be both
Maybe.
convenient and useful
Yeah.
to summarize the principle which I have set out above.
Well, maybe so. We just did.
Oh.
So I think we just anticipated exactly
Yeah.
this, and here we are.
One,
Good.
the determination of profit
Okay.
is a question of law.
Yeah.
Yes. 2. The profit of a business for a taxation year
Yeah.
is to be determined by setting against the revenues from the business for that year the expenses incurred in earning said income.
Yeah.
So profit equals revenues minus
expenses. Yeah.
In seeking to ascertain profit, the goal is to obtain an
Okay.
accurate picture of the taxpayer's profit for the given year.
Yeah.
In ascertaining profit, the taxpayer is free to adopt any method which is not inconsistent with A, the provisions of the Income Tax Act, B, established case law principles or rules of law, and C, well-accepted business principles.
Okay. Good.
So you can do whatever you
Yeah,
want,
it's
but you
nice.
cannot
Yeah.
invent
Yeah.
new crazy concepts.
Yeah.
Well-accepted business principles, which include but are not limited to the formal codification found in GAAP, are not rules of law, but interpretive aids to the extent that they may influence the calculation of income. They will do so only on a case-by-case basis, depending on the facts of the taxpayer's financial situation.
All right.
And 6, on reassessment, once the taxpayer has shown that he has provided an accurate picture of income for the year, which is consistent with the Act. Oh, now it's consistent.
Yeah.
The case law.
Not inconsistent means consistent. See?
And well-accepted
boy.
business principles. The onus shifts to the minister to show either that the figure provided does not represent an accurate picture or that another method of computation would provide a more accurate picture.
Okay.
54. Okay, now we are applying these to the case.
All right. We've got a general rule. Now let's apply it.
It is evident that the method of income calculation adopted by Canderel in the Easton case was not inconsistent with any provision of the Income Tax Act or other rule of law. The general income provision, subsection 9.1, provides no definition of profit, and no other section of the Act touches, either directly or indirectly,
Oh, boy.
upon the income treatment to be given tips.
See, I just disagree. I think that's wrong, but okay.
But again, we are in a framework
Yeah.
when the
I
question
know.
is tiny.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
It's the
We're
wrong,
constrained.
when
It
you
is the
ask the wrong question, you get the wrong answer.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Subsection 18.9 of the Act does require the amortization of certain prepaid expenses, but tips are not included in this provision. I agree. To my mind, this exclusion not only exempts tips from any statutory amortization requirement, but also provides a valuable hint as to Parliament's lack of intention to require such treatment of tips. I do not mean to suggest that the expressio unius est expressio alterius
Yes.
maxim of statutory interpretation applies here, as subsection 18.9 certainly does not perpetuate an exhaustive compendium of amortizable expenses, and it is arguable that tips do not really fall into the same category as the prepaid expenses touched upon by the section. But the fact that Parliament has directed its mind to requiring the amortization of some expenses without requiring this of tips is nonetheless telling to some extent. Parliament would be free to institute this requirement, but has not done so. The case law also supports this method of computation. In Cummings, the court considered the timing of the deduction to lease pickup payments, by which the appellant taxpayer agreed to pay rent to the landlords whose premises were vacated by the appellant's new tenant. The rents which the tenant was still obliged to pay under the existing leases was a major obstacle in lease negotiations, and was resolved only by the appellant's agreement to assume the lease pickup payments. That is, the assumption of the payments was a necessary inducement for the tenant to enter the lease. After considering the expert accounting evidence to the effect that immediate deduction of such expenses was permissible for tax purposes, Justice Held concluded.
Hold on. Pause. Can you mute me for a sec? That probably came right through on your microphone.
Yeah, I tried to mute and I muted the wrong one, I re-mute. Now we're all muted, you cannot hear us.
Don't make me laugh. Okay. Okay.
Disgusting experience.
Okay.
Was sponsored by Canderel.
Thinking, what are those? Curious Altoid.
Oh,
Curiously strong mints. Yes.
what is it? Fisherman's Friends?
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good ones. So Justice Held concluded that subject expenditure was a running expense, and in the same category as, for example, an extensive advertising campaign to obtain tenants, or an offer to a prospective tenant of a rent-free period as an inducement to enter into a long-term lease, or a finder's fee for obtaining tenants and leases. I'm wondering something. You know about the symmetry, what the tenant does with the free rent? Is it amortized? Is it just the first year? What is the proper accounting?
The tip? What does the tenant do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the question in. That is also a question in Glencore, is it not?
But it's not really a tip in Glencore.
Right.
Okay. We're gonna think about it.
Yeah.
While the analogies contain...
I mean, wait a second. This is why it's a loan, though. Because if you say it's deductible, then it must be a payment to the tenant. And for the tenant, it must be income that is offset by whatever rent they pay. But if it was a loan, the tenant would have no income, which they obviously prefer.
Yes.
So when the landlord's in court, they want a deductible expense. But when the tenant's in court, they do not want a deductible inclusion. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. While the analogies contain the last part of the quotation are obviously richer dicta, as was correctly pointed out by both Justices Stone and Desjardins in the court below, I believe that the implication of the decision is clear nonetheless. To distinguish the lease pickup payments from the cash tips advanced in the case is, in my opinion, virtually impossible. Both are contractual payments voluntarily incurred by landlords for the purpose of inducing tenants to enter into long-term leases. While both payments may give rise to benefits which are realized in years subsequent to that in which they are incurred, the fact that in Cummings the Federal Court of Appeal found the expenses in question to be running expenses, not referable to any specific items of income, and thus fully deductible in the year incurred, is most instructive. There was simply no meaningful distinction between the two cases. See also T.E. McDonald running headlong into the gap again. Canadian Tax Journal. The decision of the Federal Court, Trial Division in Tower Investment, Inc., in which advertising expenses incurred for the purpose of attracting tenants to new buildings were held to be amortizable over a period of years, poses no analytical problem in this regard. All that appears to have been decided in that case was that in the particular circumstances, amortization was an acceptable way to obtain an accurate picture of income.
Okay.
No general rule of law was thereby developed, nor was amortization held to be the only acceptable treatment of the expense. Again, the appropriate treatment will turn on the facts of each individual case. At this stage, then, Canderel was free to deduct the payment entirely in the year incurred, but that does not end the matter. It remains to be seen whether the method chosen by Canderel was in accordance with the case law principles as outlined above, and with well-accepted business principles, and whether it provided an accurate picture of its income for the year in question. Even if that were so, the minister would still be entitled to insist on an alternative treatment of the expenditures if it could be shown that such would provide a more accurate picture. To answer these questions will require an examination of the evidence and findings of the trial judge.
Okay.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. Oh no. Back to the trial court we go.
It's not long. I just don't want to go back to the tax court.
I know.
It's late. What time is it? Oh, it's not that late. Only 4:46.
No, we're doing okay.
Okay. 16:46.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about it?
16:46.
What about it?
No, it's just funny to say it like in French.
Oh. You lost me completely. I had no idea.
The accounting evidence adduced by the parties was somewhat inconclusive at best.
Somewhat inconclusive
At best.
Okay.
It disclosed that at the time of the payments, GAAP allowed for three alternative and acceptable method of accounting for tips. The payer was entitled to treat the payments either as operating expenses, fully chargeable to the results of operations in the year incurred, as capital expenditures to be added to the cost of the building and depreciated, or as deferred expenses to be amortized over the life of the relevant leases.
Okay.
I'm not even sure if I can come up with a fourth alternative. It seems to be like everything you could possibly do with that expense.
Pretty much.
The experts called by Canderel were of the opinion that the first option was to be preferred because the expenditures were incurred in the ordinary course of generating revenue from Canderel's business, and that this method would thus give the more accurate picture of income. Those called by the minister, as might be expected, testified that the preferred method was the third, as the payments were causally linked. I don't know why sometimes I see causal, I'm like casually.
I know, yeah, it's easy, yeah.
Causally linked to rental revenue, while any other benefits to which they gave rise were not revenue and could not be the subject of matching. To my mind, this evidence is useful only to demonstrate that GAAP at the time endorsed the options contended for by both parties. However, I cannot draw from this alone any specific conclusion as to which method was preferable in terms of yielding the more accurate picture of Canderel's income. But the findings of facts made by the trial judge are most instructive. Justice Brûlé found that the payments yielded four primary benefits for Canderel: the prevention of a hole in income, just a hole, not a pigeonhole,
right,
which otherwise would have been caused by maintaining a vacant building, the ability to satisfy the underlying requirements of its interim financing and to obtain permanent financing, the ability to meet its competition and to maintain its market position and reputation, and for generating of revenues through rentals and through management and development fees, which were to some extent contingent upon the rate of lease-up.
Okay.
From this, he concluded that the payments constituted running expenses, as they could not be causally linked to any single or specific stream of revenue, and that the matching principle therefore did not apply in those circumstances as contended for by the minister.
Okay,
but I think we've already...
Yeah, exactly.
That's not the question now. The question is just, is the method...
Was
there another
yes,
method that more accurately reflected income?
That's it. That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
And the answer will be obviously no from that stage. Because how can you say it's better?
I mean, it appears that if GAAP says you got three options and doesn't tell you which one is preferable, then I don't know how you're supposed to make this determination.
I don't even know what is the best method now.
Exactly, I agree.
I don't. Is it in nothing. 1 year because you induce?
Yeah. We have nothing. We have nothing to go on. They did not help us.
It is immediately apparent that while some of the benefits identified by Brûlé are of a type that would be realized over a period of years, others, such as the satisfaction of interim financing requirements and the maintenance of market position and reputation, are benefits that were immediately realized by Canderel in the year the payments were made.
Okay,
it goes back to my point. If we do an amortization, then the first year there must be a bit more than the others. And what exactly is the right amount?
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
We cannot know. Our benefits, From this observation emerges one serious practical difficulty inherent to the Federal Court of Appeal view of the law. Even if we can properly be argued that the payments are directly referable to some future revenues, what is to be made of a situation where they are also referable to other immediate benefits?
Right.
Yeah. It will be unduly arbitrary to allocate the expenses only to the specific revenues while ignoring the other, less tangible benefits. But there also exists no specific legal formula for the apportionment of the expenses among the various benefits. Well, you're the Supreme Court. You could create one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could be like at least 50% is deductible in the first year.
Yeah. But I think they just aren't in this business. They don't want to do it.
But
Yeah.
I think you need an expert
Exactly. There should
economy to
exactly.
tell you, okay, that kind of payment, this is to do this, and this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the minister might have tried to press that case
Yeah.
by making those claims and bringing an expert, but they just didn't.
Because the same thing could, if you think about transfer pricing, it would be very easy to say there is no way to
Yeah.
know what an iPhone without the software and
Exactly.
the IP is worth. There is
Exactly.
no market for it. It's
It's
not
impossible.
possible to create a formula.
Yeah, for sure. And we have to deal with this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps some appropriate amortization formula could be devised to cover such an apportionment, but any such device would need to be a creature of statute. Anything less would constitute judicial legislation of a very intrusive
Yeah, there you go.
variety.
Yeah.
It is similarly no
Yes,
answer
No answer, yeah.
to suggest that because the payments were amortized by Canderel for financial accounting purposes, they can be similarly amortized for taxation purposes. As I have already explained, the two portrayals of profit are substantially different in nature and purpose. True, totally true. In its submissions before this court, Canderel posited a variety of other questions, which would arise out of the treatment of the matching principle as a compulsory rule of law. For example, if an induced tenant were to
Right.
break its lease before the end of the term, how and pursuant to what authority would the balance of the tip be deducted from income?
Good
Exactly
question.
what we said
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
What I like how all the questions we had in one paragraph
Yeah,
are
they're all finally here.
all unanswered.
That's true, yeah.
What if the rate of rent varied over the term of the lease? Yeah. Would this affect the rate of amortization? Additionally, without any clear principal distinction between this case and Cummings, what other expenses incurred in the course of securing tenants for a building would be required to be amortized rather than currently deducted? Moreover, what would happen if the lease premises were disposed of before the tips were fully deducted? Well, you don't have the benefit of the tips anymore. The value goes to the person buying the rent.
It seems like, yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
These are questions which simply cannot be answered by reference to the law as it presently exists, for good reason. In a case such as this, there is simply no uniform solution by which the more accurate picture of the taxpayer's profit may be obtained.
There you go.
It is therefore an artificial and arbitrary solution to impose a matching principle. As a matter of law, upon circumstances where its application quite evidently creates serious difficulty. To my mind, the uncertainties created by this type of judicial legislation engaged in by the Federal Court of Appeals stand as a clear example of the difficulties contemplated in Sparrow Electrics. In light of all this,
Okay.
I find it difficult, particularly given the findings of a trial judge as to the various benefits generated by the tips, to conclude that the amortization of the payments over the terms of the leases, as contended for by the minister, would provide a more accurate picture of Canderel's income than
Yeah.
would their immediate deduction in the year expended. In such a case, there is where no one method emerges as clearly superior or more properly applicable than another. The taxpayer should retain the option of ordering its affairs in accordance with any method which is in accordance with the well-accepted business principles and which is acceptable in light of the reality of its business.
Yeah.
That is to say, just because a particular tactic is acceptable under well-accepted business principles will not necessarily justify its application in a given context if it is out of step with the actual manner in which the taxpayer conducts its affairs. However, once the taxpayer has established that the method adopted gives an accurate picture
Yeah.
of its income, the onus is clearly on the minister to prove that the method adopted by the taxpayer is inappropriate in the particular circumstances of each case. In the instant case, I believe that the findings of the trial judge make it impossible to conclude that the minister has discharged this burden in the instant case. Indeed, in my view, the fact that in the instant case, Justice Brulé found that the tips were properly attributable to a number of different expenses makes inevitable the conclusion that they constituted running expenses. As I have already noted, I do not see how, under these circumstances, it is possible with any accuracy to amortize the payments over the term of the lease in the absence of an established formula acceptable for tax purposes, which was not advanced by the minister. It follows, then, that the tips were not referable to any particular items of income, i.e., they cannot be
Correlated.
correlated directly, or at least not principally, with the rents generated by the leases which they induced. They therefore qualify as running expenses, to which the matching principles does not apply. See Oxford Shopping Centres. the finding of fact made by Justice Brûlé in this regard are entitled to considerable deference. There is no indication that these findings were unsupported by the evidence, and I can see no reason to reject them. In light of the foregoing, I am compelled to the view that the Federal Court of Appeal erred in requiring that the tips be amortized over the terms of the leases which they induced, rather than being deducted entirely in the year incurred. As I have already made clear, there is no basis for treating the matching principle as a rule of law, and the Federal Court of Appeal chose to do so. And for my part, I am unable to conclude that to apply this particular principle of accounting to the present case will serve to achieve a more accurate picture, for tax purposes, of the taxpayer's financial position for the year in question, than the immediate deduction of the expenses favored by Canderel. While this matching principle will certainly be useful in some cases, its specific application in the present case is unnecessary, as the payments related at least partially to benefits realized entirely in the year incurred, and the taxpayer therefore should not be constrained to amortize. The method employed by Canderel was consistent both with the law and with well-accepted business principles, and gave at least as accurate a picture of the taxpayer's income as would the amortization method. Therefore, it ought not to be disturbed. This position, for the foregoing reason, I would allow the appeal, set aside the judgment of the Federal Court of Appeal, and restore the judgment of the Tax Court of Canada. The appellant shall have its costs throughout. Appeal allowed with costs. So it's for the appellant, Goodman, Phillips, and Weinberg, Montreal.
Oh, that's Davies?
That's Davies. So this is for the defendant, the Attorney General of Canada.
Okay.
The end.
Well, yeah, applause, please, for Canderel. But in the end, there's almost no satisfactory discussion about the nature of the tenant inducement payment at all. Because of that.
It was not a question for the court.
Yeah. So given that, then our remembering that, hey, this case is about accounting principles, that's an accurate recollection.
It's about accounting.
It's about accounting.
It's not about tips.
At all. And so, as we said, bad questions, bad facts make bad law, or if the way they frame the question, you're going to get the answer to that question. Can we just take a quick look and see how long IKEA is and the other the other two? Just out of curiosity. So if I go to SCC decision IKEA, that is, says, okay, there's a summary. And let me see, how long is this thing? And it's not, no, there's a whole case here.
Oh, I thought it was a very short one, like, hey, it's the same, here's the
No, there's
decision.
like 20, 30, 37, 40, let me see, we're almost there, 42 paragraphs. So it's I would not mind reading this one, just because, like, the same principle is going to be, it's all going to be, but I wouldn't mind reading it just because I would like to get through them. Yeah, I haven't read them. No, not right now.
Okay.
Next time. Next time.
I'm a bit tired. I need like a tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good job reading the case.
Thank you.
I think that it's an unsatisfying case because you just feel like it's the wrong question being asked or the wrong analysis from the get-go. But at the end of the day, all we know is that I think the little summary that Justice Iacobucci gives us is right. Like, here's the principles. Yeah. You know, taxpayers got to come up with what they say, and the minister's going to have to defeat him. They're going to have to show evidence that that's not accurate.
But also the idea that profit or revenue equals profit minus expenditures. You cannot have a statute where every single piece of possible profit and every single piece of possible expenditures will be in the act.
Right.
You have to go back necessarily to accounting principles.
You just have to. Otherwise,
there is no choice.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
As long as what you're doing is in accordance with the accounting principles, and that when the tax treatment is different, you go back to the act and you do the different treatment.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, the minister cannot say, oh, you deducted this, but actually you needed to do something else.
Right.
As long as it is consistent with accounting principles.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so good job. We read Canderel, reminding ourselves what we had. We had a few little technical glitches, but we managed it, and we'll always be improving. So that's our goal, always to be improving.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy my reading of Canderel. It is the second time I'm reading it, and
First time as an LM, and second time as almost.
I thought that
PhD.
I think that what I remember of Canderel is actually what I will remember of Canderel
Yeah.
after reading it.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of like this morning. I was like, wait a minute, this is about 10 inducement payments. But
Yeah.
I don't remember any discussion about tips.
Yeah. And there isn't any.
No.
No. All right, so good. Thank you, everyone
Thank
that
you.
joined us, and see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. That was the Tax Files.